Stacey from Kids Learning for Life, and today I'm going to show you what curriculum I've chosen for my 3 boys this year. My boys are in 2nd grade, 1st grade, and transitional kindergarten, but because his birthday is so close to the cutoff, we're probably just going to be doing mostly kindergarten work. The first thing I want to let you know is that some of this curriculum I have used in previous years and love. Others I'm starting for the first time and haven't really tried it out yet, but I still wanted to share what I'm going to use. You may be interested in the curriculum I'm using if you also follow a slightly traditional approach to homeschooling, as well as a unit studies approach. Knowing your homeschool method can be helpful when you're selecting your curriculum, so if you want to know more about homeschooling methods, you can check out our video on how to figure out what your homeschooling method is. One part of my homeschool that I really enjoy doing is what I like to call morning work. So this is just something that my boys can do typically independently and get started on their homeschool day. It really helps me at the beginning of the day when they have something that they can just open up and start. So this will be for my kindergartner, and it's called Good Morning August. This is a Teachers Pay Teachers. Links to everything I mentioned will be in the description below. So it has a calendar, which I love. So as the months go on, so this month I have pre-filled in the calendar, and so what he will be doing is coloring in each page. And as the months go on, eventually he will be writing out the entire calendar on his own. And then each page has another date where they circle and write in the date. And again, as the months go on, they will be writing out the whole thing on their own by the end of kindergarten. And so it's very basic, just, this is a picture of me. The next day is I can write my name. So I just really love how simple it is, and it just gets them going, gets them into kind of that school mindset at the beginning of the day. For my older 2, I have selected a daily handwriting practice book. Now this is broken up into weeks and days, so every single day they will have another sheet to do. So this one has the letter E, then the next day they'll do the letter F, and so on and so forth. And by the end of the year, they're getting into sentences. We have not really focused on handwriting as much yet, so that's something I really wanted to focus on this year. And we also will be doing these Evan-Moor daily fundamental books, also broken up by weeks and days, and each day has just a quick little language, math, and reading question. So they will be able to do that on their own. They should be able to read it on their own, and that's the entire point of the daily work, is just for them to get started on something. And sometimes it'll be a little bit more of a review, sometimes it's just handwriting practice, and that really works. So once they get through their morning work, how I schedule my daily routine is basically with a checklist of everything that each student has to get done for that day, and they are free to kind of do it however they want. If you want a more detailed look into my daily schedule, let me know down below and maybe I can make a video about that. So the next curriculum I chose is going to be for phonics, and I have selected the All About Reading. For my kindergartner, we're starting with the level 1, and for my older 2 boys, they are at the exact same level, so they're going to be working at a level 2. I started using this curriculum last year, and I absolutely love it. What I really love about this program is the simple approach and how it kind of steps up each level so that kids will start going from reading k-at as cat to being able to understand why the word belong has that E that says E, and even though there's no silent E. So there's a lot of rules, and this book really explains it. To be totally honest, I'm actually learning a lot from this curriculum myself. I'm fairly good at reading, but I couldn't tell you why the word belong is B-E, a long E, long, when there's no silent E. So it really explains all of those rules for the parent as well to really understand it and be able to teach that to their child. So to go along with that, I also have the All About Spelling curriculum that goes, it's the same company that makes it All About Reading. I did not use it last year. We were still trying to get through the All About Reading, and I was really trying to get my kindergartner and 1st grader to start reading those basic words and really start to have a love of reading. Before I introduced, again, we didn't focus on handwriting, we weren't worrying about spelling. I really just wanted them to start enjoying books and be able to read them. So now that we're there, I've decided I'm going to introduce spelling this year, and One thing I read online was to start with the level below what they're actually reading, and I really like that idea. So both of my older two will be doing the All About Spelling level 1, and I won't really be introducing spelling yet to my youngest. Again, still TK, kind of kindergarten. We're still just working on handwriting in general and forming letters, so I wasn't too worried about him knowing how to spell them yet. So that's basically all that I'm going to be using for English language arts. I'm also going to include me reading aloud to them for at least 20 minutes a day, and then they also have 10 minutes where they are required to sit and kind of read on their own, and they've been actually having a lot of fun with that since I started that last year. So I also wanted to bring in a little bit more of morals and character traits, and so I bought this book for Aesop Fables, and so I'm not quite sure how I'm going to implement this yet, but maybe, you know, a story a week or a couple of stories a week and just kind of talk about them. Nothing too fancy or over the top, but just kind of reading those stories as well. For math, I have selected the Primary Mathematics series, and I've been using this for 3 years now. I've used it since my oldest was using the level 1A books. He's now in 3A and 3B this year. So the way these work is each level is split up by semester. So 3A you would use first semester, or 3B in second semester. And each book comes with a textbook, a workbook, as well as a test booklet and a teacher's edition. So my first grader will be using the 2A and 2B books, and my transitional kindergartner will be using the 1A and 1B books. For my youngest, it is really important that I'm going to be using this very slow. If there is a concept that he's just not grasping, I know that I can stop and find some other worksheets to really make sure that we cement that idea in before moving on to the next chapter. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there for others, that if you're working through a curriculum and your child's just not getting it and the book is moving on, feel free to look online and find other worksheets or practice ideas for them to really master that idea before moving on. I mean, you're homeschooling, and that's one of the pluses of homeschooling, is that if they're not getting it, you can slow down and make sure they get it before you move on. So that's what I'm using for math. And the last thing that I'm using is a unit studies curriculum. And this unit studies combines history, science, geography, and art all together in one curriculum. So this curriculum is called Layers of Learning, and as you can see here, each booklet is, pretty thin, and it just goes through. So each unit has a separate booklet. So I love that, because as we go through a unit, I only have to have one of these out in my schoolroom, and then the rest go in my office closet and just sit there until I need them. So I really love the smallness. And again, each unit is meant to be about 2 weeks long, and it goes through history, science, art, and geography. This will be my first year using this curriculum. I did, the Layers of Learning company, they do have this first unit as a free download on their website if you wanted to try it out. So I did use this last year, and that's what made me kind of go with this curriculum this year, was I tested out the first unit. So we won't be doing the first unit, we'll be starting with the second unit this year. And one other fun factor that they had was this book of years. Again, I have not used it yet, but I did kind of start to set it up. So what it is it's a giant timeline, and the bottom pages turn, and so each one here's like Mesopotamia, and then you would go through and use little cards, which I think I have those at the end here. So you cut out the little cards. So in Mesopotamia, in 5000 BC, farming begins in Sumer. Sumer? I'm not sure. I haven't done that one yet, so we'll have to look up how to pronounce that. And so basically, it's just really fun to have this timeline, and I really like that aspect of how all of the units kind of go chronologically. Very similar to, if you're familiar with Story of the World and the Charlotte Mason kind of approach. So I liked that aspect of this a lot, that we're going to go through history kind of chronologically, and then with the timeline, when we're talking about Mesopotamia or talking about ancient China, there are going to be some dates that correlate to each other. So being able to see them on the timeline is going to be a lot of fun to see that, I don't have an example, but to see two things, one's happening in ancient China, but then what's happening in Mesopotamia, and that they're both happening at the same time. So it just lets you know that you know, all of these different civilizations were together at the same time. So I'm really loving this, if you can't tell. I'm super excited about the layers of learning and being able to learn history that way. So that's basically it. That's the curriculum I'm using this year for my second grader, first grader, and transitional kindergartner. If you want to see how I take all of this curriculum and plan it, then be sure to check out my How to Plan Curriculum video. If you haven't already, be sure to check out Jenny's homeschool curriculum video, where she shares what she picked for her girls this year. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe to get more homeschooling content just like this. See you next time!